Welcome back to Living with a Classic, and today is a dream come true. I'm out here at my favorite spot, birds are singing, beautiful weather, nice and warm, and I'm with my ultimate dream car, a V12 Jaguar E-Type. Not just any V12 Jaguar E-Type, it's a convertible and it's modified in exactly the perfect way. Let me show you around this ultimate dream car of mine, which I'm very grateful I got to borrow. We'll have a look around it. Just want to show you the details of the E-Type because there's lots of videos on E-Types out there, but you don't get to see a lot of small little details. We're going to have a look around that. We're going to have a look at the modifications, and then we're going to go for a long test drive. The E-Type is one of those cars that doesn't really need an introduction. Most people know what it is. Launched in 1961 at the Geneva Motor Show, the Series 1 was instantly a big hit and a big seller for Jaguar. Of course, they had to, evolve with the times. You got the Series 1.5, and you got Series 2, and then this is the Series 3, which is the largest of the cars. In many senses, it became a little bit more of a GT car with its 5.3-liter V12 engine, but in my opinion, this is the ultimate one. Ever since I was pretty young, maybe 9 or 10, this has been my ultimate dream car. A convertible Series 3 E-Type with a manual transmission and that lovely V12. And up until a couple days ago, I had never even gone in an E-Type. I sat in one once at a showroom, but I've never gone for a drive or even a ride in one. And a couple days ago, I got to borrow this. I've had it now for a little bit, and well, it is something special. Before I show you around the rest of the car, I just want to let you know I borrowed this from a good friend, so I don't know all the details and everything about this car because it is a little bit altered, which you'll see in a little bit, but I'll try and fill in as much as possible. And by the end of the video, I hope to answer your question. It's kind of a common thing with cars like this. Is it worth meeting your hero car? Is it as good as the poster car? Because this is my poster car, my ultimate poster car, so yeah, let's see at the end of the video if it's still my ultimate dream car. This car, of course, had a long history and a couple of rebuilds and is right now finished in a lovely dark blue. And it has a dark blue interior as well, which has nice patina in my opinion, and lots of my camera gear. I know the owner said he's gotten different seat covers and things, which he might replace at some point, but I don't think there's anything wrong with the ones in here. I rather like it. Other than that, it has a beautiful black top, which I've had up when I've stored it in my garage. Just took it down now for the nice weather. Beautiful wire wheels. Let's go in for a closer look at those. Absolutely gorgeous. You can see the famous IRS rear suspension back there through the spokes. But I know what you guys want to know. You want to know what is modified on this E-Type, and well, it's under there. So I thought we'd open the bonnet. In case you don't know, you have these latches on both sides. Just gotta remember which way you turn them. There we go. And you pull them, and there's one on the other side, and that is what unlatches the bonnet. They're very dainty, these door handles, but absolutely gorgeous. And then down here, like so. And then, not sure exactly, but what I've done is I just grabbed it here and lifted it gently, making sure it doesn't touch the ground. But this car has been gone through with new suspension and new torsion bars, so it should be at the correct ride height. And for those of you who know these cars, you can already see the big difference. It's fuel injected. Normally these cars had 4 Stromberg carburetors, and that's the thing about the Jaguar V12. It was never meant to be carbureted. It was meant to be fuel injected from day one. It's just they couldn't get the system ready in time, and they launched the engine anyways in the XJ12 and then in the E-Type. But this car has been modified a bit, and I believe this is the 3rd engine in this car. So when the owner initially got it, it had the original engine. It was just 8 years old when the owner got this car. Then at some point, it was replaced with an HE engine fuel injected, and then the previous owner replaced it with this one after that other engine experienced a little bit of a knocking. And this one has some good go faster bits. If you know anything about go faster bits in V12s, you might recognize that these intakes a bit. These are the ones that I believe it's AJ6, someone who used to you could cut them open in the back, split them up, and they put, you know, sort of tunnel rams in them and weld them back together. Bigger throttle bodies, and they're all smooth and ported inside. So it has that, some holler stuff inside the engine, and then it's made it to a 5-speed Getrag gearbox. So it's pretty modern to drive. It's not really 1973, and it is by far probably one of the quickest V12s, if not the quickest V12 I've ever driven. It's a lot quicker than any XJS, and it sounds fantastic, which you'll hear in a little bit. But what I like about this sort of modification is it looks factory. It looks like it's supposed to be here. It's done very nicely with the air filter boxes. And on the other side, you know, being an HE, there's a lot of vacuum lines and solenoids and things, and it's just all laid out very nicely here along the frame, and, you know, all wrapped, the wiring loom. So in my opinion, this looks factory, and it looks really, really good. So good job on the owner there for the whole install and everything. It's absolutely fantastic. And just take a step back to admire the whole look with the bonnet open like that. It's absolutely gorgeous, and it's so easy to work on this car when everything is open and accessible like that. But I know what you guys want. Let's fire it up so you can hear it. Let's make sure we're neutral, clutch down. And that is just a gorgeous, gorgeous sound. We need 4 exhausts here in the back, just absolutely gorgeous. And it's just so extremely free revving. Let me button all this back down and we'll go for a drive. Before we go for a drive, let's have a look at the interior, of course. Got 2 big lovely dials up here, a rev counter and a speedometer. Over here is brake fluid and handbrake warning light, oil pressure light, and you have a headlamp dip and main beam switch. Over here is the heater controls, hot or cold on and off. You also have these pull for air tabs that a lot of cars at the time had. XJ6 and XJ12 have those as well. And there is a more modern retro style radio in there. 5-speed transmission, Smith's battery, oil, water, and fuel. And then we have these toggle switches, the hazard warning map interior, the dim or bright on all the lights, headlights and side lights, wipers, washers, and the fan. Over here, if it was still on carbs, that would be the choke, cute little glove box, and a grab handle over there. Now how about that test drive? Let's fire it up. Such a beautiful sound. And we do have seat belts. They're just lap belts. Not sure how much they would help in a crash, but it does feel a little bit better. And into first, and away we go. And just initial thought is that noise is fantastic. And I mean, I'm used to Jag V12s, drive them quite a lot, and this is just something different. The E-Type exhaust, and it's just fantastic. Still really just around a lot of houses here, but I mean, I'm not going fast. It sounds lovely. We're almost off these little small roads over here, but the best part is coming up in a little bit is a tiny tunnel. And you know what that means? Even how short it is, if you're in an open top sports car with a big V12 and a manual, of course we're going to downshift. And we'll just pull it a little bit here in a second. That's just 2,500 RPMs. I mean, it's nothing on the rev range, and it already sounds that fantastic. Got that little tunnel coming up here. I mean, it's not much, it's like a viaduct, but let's downshift anyways and see what this E-Type sounds like in a tunnel. Here we go. All right, that is fantastic. I wish we had longer tunnels around where I live. Feels like the kind of car that you want to go to the south of France and just go through all those tunnels up there on Nice and Monaco in the mountains. That'd be fantastic. But I do have the beautiful, beautiful nature around here in the south of Sweden, so that's really not too bad. We're coming up to a faster 2-lane road up here. This is what used to be the highway before there was a highway. We're gonna see if we're lucky with traffic, and we can do a little bit of a pull maybe. And second. And we're already way past the speed limit. I'm not even into fifth. I'm at fourth at 2,000 RPMs, and that's it. And I think I'm gonna slow down mostly because of the wind noise. I want you guys to be able to hear me. Oh yeah, this is a truly magnificent car, and I feel right at home. I think it's because I'm really used to driving 70s Jags. I mean, I daily drive a 75 XJ6, so everything, you know, it feels very 70s Jag all the way around. Many people miss, you know, the brushed aluminum and all that of the early series ones, but I prefer this. It's nice and subtle, not as showy, but it is quite showy with that V12. So downshift, anyone? Now if that doesn't put a grin on your face, nothing will. I thought I'd let you guys have a look at my view down this absolutely gorgeous bonnet, which is a mile long, just going up in front of you with that big sort of power bulge in the middle. And you just see the reflection of the sun and the sky in it, and this is what life is about. A beautiful 2-seater V12 convertible with a nice manual transmission, beautiful roads. It's a good day. So let me tell you a little bit about the history of this specific car and sort of why I'm driving it. So the owner of this car, he bought it when it was about 8 years old, the first time he had it. And it was, I believe it was right-hand drive, and it was in a different color. It was in a light bluish something. And told me his wife didn't like the color. So it was already pretty rough. He says an 8-year-old car, so he restored it. And not sure if that was when it was switched to left-hand drive or not. And the color was changed. And right when it was finished, I believe he said, he realized that he would never get to enjoy it because they suddenly had 4 kids. So he sold the car because of that. And then he said about 25 years later or so, he wondered what happened to it, because he always kept a little bit of track of who owned it. I think it changed owner 2 or 3 times in that time. And luckily, the guy who had it then said, you know what, I'm a little bit sick of it. It needs a lot of work now. It was due like another light restoration, I believe. And he bought it back. And that was 15 or 17 years ago. And yeah, now he is keeping it and enjoying it. I got to know him because of some local Jag meets that we have about once a month. So I got to know him. Very, very nice man. And I called him up, like right now, sort of when the pandemic is starting to be over and people start meeting up a little bit again. I asked him if he still had his E-Type, because I told him what I did with my videos, and he watched them, and I said I would love to review an E-Type, especially a Series 3 convertible, because it's my ultimate dream car. And he said, yeah, we can make that happen. I'm doing some work to the car. The bonnet is off it at the moment, but as soon as I have it back on, we can come over and we'll have a look at the car. So what I thought, that means if I'm lucky, I may get to go along for a ride, or may use it as like a static sort of photography thing. I thought about, comparing it with an XJS convertible, seeing how different they are. But he called me up a couple weeks ago and said, okay, car's back on the road, I've driven it, runs great. I can come over with it, and you can have it for a couple days and do your filming. And I was really shocked. I said, well, you want to leave that with me? I didn't say that, but this is an E-Type. And then we talked about it and said, yeah, Thursday would work fine. And he dropped it by, and we had a look over the car a little bit. He looked over my place, and we looked over some of my cars. And then he said, hey, let's go for a little bit of a drive to my house, and then you can see my garage and see my other cars. So we did that, and I got to drive there, which was terrifying for the first thing, because I've been dreaming about this forever. And the owner's in the driver's seat, but it went really well. And I think he thought I was driving it like a little bit of an old lady, because he told me just downshift and floor it, and I did. And wow, yeah, magnificent car. And we're at his house having coffee, talking about it, and he said, you know what, take the car with you home, drive it for a little bit, try it, film whatever you want. And he also wanted me to have a look at like a little tiny little sort of tuning thing, and he knows that it's a big XJS engine, and I deal with them quite a lot. And I thought, wow, that's fantastic. So I drove it home, and then a little bit later that evening, I sent him a text message just saying, thank you so much for today. It was a lot of fun, and thank you for letting me borrow your magnificent car. And I got a little bit better at driving it on the way home. And I got such a fantastic reply. This is just such a nice man. He replied, just go and enjoy the car, drive it. If you don't have time to work on it, don't worry about it, just enjoy it. And well, I have worked on it, and I fixed that little issue that he had, and I'm enjoying it now. And I am just so honored. I know it's quite a story, but I'm very, very touched and honored. This is quite a narrow road for such a big car. There we go. That someone would lend out their love and joy to me, a young car guy. I am just 30 years old, and I don't think there are a lot of people that would lend a 30-year-old their V12 E-Type, but I'm very happy that he did. I will remember this probably for the rest of my life. And I think I've learned something from that which I've tried to do before. I know I've had a relative or so who let me know that he'd always dream of driving a Jag. So I let him drive a couple of mine. And I think that is a good thing, that if you find an enthusiast who likes your cars, let them come along for a drive. Let them test drive it if you trust them. And that's the only way to keep this hobby going. Because I don't think I would ever get to experience an E-Type otherwise. So what's a Series 3 V12 E-Type convertible like to drive? Well, I haven't driven any of the other series, and I haven't driven the other E-Types, so I can't really compare with that. I have driven quite a few XJSs though, so that's what I can compare it to. Compared to an XJS convertible, I feel like I'm sitting higher up. I think it's just because the windscreen is lower. I'm not terribly tall, but I'm not that short either. So I don't feel like I'm sitting as low down as I am in an XJS, but it's not a bad thing. I got used to it fairly quickly. At first I felt very upright, and I was thinking about the windscreen and all of that, but it feels very nimble. I mean, this car it's big, it's long, but it doesn't feel that big when I'm driving it. It really doesn't. And even on these small little country lanes here, when I met traffic, it didn't feel bad at all. And same, maneuvering it around my garage where there's a lot of other cars, it was easy, especially with the top down. Rear visibility is fantastic. I mean, excellent, but that's in any convertible. But I can definitely see where all my corners are. It's quite easy to drive. Power steering is very nice. It is not overly assisted in my opinion. I believe this also has a little bit of a smaller aftermarket wheel, which is really nice because I think a larger wheel would hit my legs a bit. So I approve of that upgrade as well. Transmission is very, very nice. It is a little bit on, I don't know, it's not clunky at all. That's not the word I'm looking for. It is just, I mean, it's manly. I think it's the right word I'm trying to go through. That you need to sort of manhandle it. You need to really shift it, and then it works perfectly. So great upgrade, and it's a very similar transmission I'm putting into my XJS. But yeah, it is a very, very agreeable car. It's a lovely thing to drive, and I very much understand why people have it. And right now, I mean, just the torque of the V12, I'm in fourth, and fourth is sort of like the go-to gear. You can leave it there all day when you're cruising around these small little lanes. And if you're going a little bit slower, third is, you could probably just pull away in third. I mean, you can do everything. So it's a very versatile engine. I'm not going to redline pull this because, you know, it's not my car, but see, that is 3,000 RPMs and the red line is 6.5. So this thing is phenomenally, it just sounds fantastic and incredibly fast for its time. I mean, it is almost to the point of being silly quick. Brakes are good because they're pretty much the same as the XJ6. But I mean, if you're driving this thing very spiritedly, I would probably like almost a little bit better brakes, just because it is almost silly fast for a big convertible. All right, I can't get that grin off my face. This thing is absolutely incredible. So while we just gently drive back to my house, I thought we need to talk about that this is my ultimate dream car. And there is that saying, don't meet your heroes, that we talked about. And well, this was my hero car, my poster car. Kids of the 80s maybe had the Countach on their wall. And this is definitely not what other kids my age had on their wall. I never had a poster, but on the background of my phone, on my laptop and things, was the Series 3 E-Type Jag. I read every article about them in all of the magazines, all that, and absolutely love them. It was the car I wanted to flock to when I got to a car meet. It was this one. And boy, am I glad I got to experience this. This is one of those heroes that I'm so happy I got to meet, because this is still my ultimate dream car. I think it's absolutely fantastic. It fits me like a glove. Everything is right where I want it to be. Has my favorite engine of all time in it, for my favorite brand. Yeah, I absolutely love it. But we gotta talk about one thing. E-types are quite expensive, and yeah, that is one thing. So not sure if I could ever be able to afford one, but if I ever get the chance to have one, I think I'll jump on the opportunity, because it is absolutely fantastic. And if I had one, I would definitely use it, because I think that's what they're made for. They're meant to be driven. I wouldn't want to have an overly restored one. I think I'd want to have one pretty much just like this. It looks very nice, but it's resto mod a little bit. It has fuel injection, the HE engine, so you get a little bit lower fuel consumption, more reliability, more power, better transmission. I think that is the perfect E-Type and my perfect dream car. So if you like this video, please give a thumbs up, share it with friends. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel. It really does help out a lot. And until next time, I'm Adam. This was Living with a Classic. I'll see you soon.